All right, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Let's get these slides started. There we go. All right, once again, thank everyone for joining us today for the Untangle 101 webinar series. Today we'll be discussing how to run Untangle's NG firewall solution at home. My name is Shannon Miles, and I'm part of the product marketing team here, and I'll be your host today. I also have with us our founder and chief product officer, Dirk Morris, and as well as our chief marketing officer, AB of Untangle, who will be assisting in today's webinar through the demonstration and answering questions. So thanks you guys for joining us. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. If you have any audio issues, please just make sure you're selecting the correct audio preference on the right-hand side. If you do select to dial in, you will need to use the access code provided. Just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to rewatch and revisit areas that you want to follow up on later. And as always, we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation, so please just submit them through the Q&A box, and we have a team of people on hand to help answer questions. And as always, you can send questions to sales@untangle.com. All right, so before we go into a demonstration, we just want to kind of briefly go over Untangle, what we do, just for those who are not familiar with Untangle and what we do. And then we're going to jump straight into our newest product offering, the home license, and how you can utilize this to protect your home networks. I'll then pass to Dirk, and he'll provide demonstrations on certain use cases on how to set it up at home and implement some rules and policies for various scenarios like protecting your kids and guests and so on. And of course, we'll answer questions as I mentioned, so please just submit those in the Q&A box. All right, so let's just get right into it. What does Untangle do? Untangle's next generation firewall is a simple, powerful, all-in-one security firewall and unified threat management solution. It's placed at the edge of your network and at the gateway to the internet. NG Firewall performs deep packet analysis on all traffic from all applications. Untangle's NG Firewall enables you to quickly and easily create the network policies that deliver the perfect balance between security and productivity. Untangle combines unified threat management to address all of the key network areas and network threats with policy management tools that enable you to define access and control by teachers versus students, grade level or school-wide, parents versus kids. And with industry-leading reports, you have the complete visibility into and control over everything that's happening on your network. Our technology is designed to optimize layer 7 processing of all relevant protocols with policy management tailored specifically for real-world security and network management challenges. Virtual pipelining, which is the simple matter of our technology, ensures that each app is integrated seamlessly for optimum performance. So we often get a lot of questions about implementation. Where do I put it? What if I already have a network set up? Well, there are a few options. First, you need to decide on a platform. If you go with the Untangle appliance offering, all of our appliances are the easiest way to get Untangle's NG Firewall on your network. They come preloaded with the software, and you can simply just plug them in and get them set up to work, configured to your liking. And we also have paid apps and complete package that you can upgrade at any time. The second option is going with your own hardware. You may have something lying around, a different router lying around that you want to use Untangle on. That is perfectly capable, and you can just load Untangle on that. The next step is choosing your apps. So the best way to experience the full power of NG Firewall is by selecting our complete package, which contains all of the apps in a single bundle, as well as any future applications that we release. And you can turn these apps on and off just depending on what you need in your network. And the last step is deploying in your network. So you'll need to decide how you want to run Untangle. As you can see in the slide, you can run Untangle as a router, which leverages our powerful network tools, or as a transparent bridge by dropping it seamlessly behind any existing router that you may have. NG Firewall is an inline device, meaning only traffic that flows through it will be filtered. So after you have it all set up, all you need to do is pick any of the apps that you want helping to protect your network. As you can see, we have over 20 applications that suit various needs, as you can see here. All right, so now that you understand, hopefully, Untangle and kind of what we do, let's get into the home license. As an IT professional, we know that you strive to not only protect your organization's environment, but also your home network. Whether it be a hobby or you work from home, we know you've been asking us for a very long time for the ability to run Untangle's complete package at home. Well, now you can, and at a reasonable price. Introducing our home license. We're very excited about this. This license includes the complete package, including all the apps and upgrades, just at a lower price. So for only $5 a month or $50 a year, you can run the complete package at home on your own hardware, a virtualized environment, or on our new U25 appliance. And if you guys are asking what is the new U25 appliance, well, this is our newest appliance that we just released a few months ago, and it comes either in a wired or wireless version, and it's perfect for smaller home office branches with about 25 users. It's one of the smallest firewalls on the market today, measuring less than 5 square inches. You can find more information on our website. All right, so now that we kind of went over that, we'll get into the use cases that Dirk will be demonstrating. Kind of scenarios that you may want to do, if you're setting this up on your home network. We'll go over, you have kids, you want to prevent them from accessing or searching inappropriate content, or maybe your kid doesn't get off the internet and doesn't go to bed. Well, there's a way to do that too. Or you have, your kids' friends come over or guests come over and want access, but you also want to make sure that they're protected as well. Also, virus and ransomware protection. Your kids may be streaming and playing games all the time, so there's ways to prevent that. And also to see what Internet of Things devices are phoning home. So with that, oops, I will pass it.
I'm going to use your computer, actually.
Pass it to Dirk. All right, let me just.
Can you give me the list of use cases?
Yes.
Hey everybody, I'm Dirk Morris, founder and chief product officer, here to give a couple scenarios and walk you through how to use Untangle at home. I'm going to log into an example machine here. How do you open a tab? I'm having a little technical difficulties with my machine, so I'm going to use a different machine. I'm going to log into a server here so we can walk through how to configure your Untangle server. You log in as me. So thanks, Shannon, for giving us the quick rundown. Untangle has been, and from day one, focused on small business. So the router is designed for business. However, it makes a perfectly good use case at home. And we've had many, many passionate home users installing Untangle at home since we released our home package just a few months ago. So just keep in mind as we go through this is designed for business. So it takes a little bit more work to configure it for your home. However, home is becoming a very big focus for us, so we're going to make it easier for home users. But I'll walk you through how to do some typical use cases today. So for those of you familiar with Untangle, you're familiar with the rack. This is 12.0 that we're looking at here. So this is a new user interface. We've been changing the user interface a little bit. And the 4 tabs are dashboard, apps, config, and reports. The dashboard is just an overall view of stuff going on in your network. You can put all sorts of reports here that you care about. So if you care about what websites little Timmy's spending time on, you can put that on your dashboard. If you just care about bandwidth usage, you can put that on your dashboard. It just kind of gives you an idea of what's going on in your network at any given time. The apps is where the real meat is. That's where you install the quote apps. So it's kind of like your phone where you install apps, or it's kind of like your browser where you install plugins. Apps are essentially plugins that do different things to your network. So I won't go through each app in this scenario because many people are familiar with Untangle, and I just want to go through how to run Untangle at home. But you can see what the apps do. This one's responsible for filtering the web. If you want to edit your web filter settings, you click on settings and you edit the web filtering policy. Virus blocker is going to filter viruses. Spam blocker is going to filter spam. Bandwidth controls for shaping. Application controls for identifying applications and shaping them or blocking them. So each app has a different purpose. There's a whole bunch of apps, some of which may be useful at home, a lot of which are designed for business, so you probably won't get a lot of use out of spam blocker at home because you're not going to be running a email server on site, at least most normal people don't. However, if you do have an email server on site, you can use it. So you can install the apps that you think are necessary for your network. Config, I won't go too much into. That's the configuration of the server itself, how your network is set up, and so on. And then reports, and we'll go into reports a little bit later. So let's run through a typical use case. Let's say you have kids and you want to filter what they can do on the network. There's a couple ways to do that. The most common way is obviously just to go into web filter and control what content you think is acceptable. So you can go down here and say, you know what, I don't want them to look at, obviously a lot of things are pre-checked, like you never want anybody to get to phishing sites or malware sites and things like that. But maybe you also want to block pornography or nudity, or it depends on the age of your kid, R-rated, for example. Or maybe you want to just flag certain things, like you want to flag when they're gaming, so that in reports you can see if they're spending a lot of time gaming. So all that can be accomplished on the Categories tab. You can also block specific sites, specific file types, all sorts of web filtering policy can be accomplished here. So that's where you're going to go to set up your web policy, what's acceptable on your network. So I can already hear some people saying, but I want to allow certain things for different kids, or I want to allow things for myself that are not blocked for my kids. That's where policies come in. So everything I've shown you so far is one single policy. All of these apps are in one single policy called the default rack. You can actually build completely separate policies, and I'll actually go through an example here. Let's go down to Policy Manager and click on Settings. So let's say I wanted to create a whole new policy called Kids Policy. Give it a description, click Done, click Apply. So now I've got a brand new policy called Kids Policy. Now if I go back here to the drop down and I select the Kids Policy, you'll notice that the top part of the rack is actually empty. So I'm going to install a couple things. I want virus blocker, I don't care about fish blocker, I want bandwidth control, and I want application control. Click Done. Now you'll see these things installed in the kids policy. So now I can go here and edit a specific policy for my kid that is not going to apply to everybody else. So now I could say, well, I want to block way more stuff here for my kids. Depending on their age, you can decide what you think is appropriate, or you can just block specific sites. You can block everything and only allow certain sites if they're very young. So now that I have the separate policy set up, how do I determine who goes to what policy? So the way that that is done is each time basically network traffic occurs, these rules are evaluated, and it determines what policy covers that traffic. So let me say Timmy's rule, and I'm going to say you could do a whole bunch of different things. You could do it by the MAC address, you could do it by the IP address of Timmy's machine. You could even, I mean, if you're really fancy, you can go username equals Timmy. Specify Timmy. That means no matter where Timmy is on his iPad or on his machine or on his phone, he's always going to go to the kids policy. So that's my one and only rule. Actually, I have a rule for the wireless people get the special wireless rack, but once I save that, little Timmy's traffic is going to go to the kids policy. So how do I associate a username? I use username. You could have just used IP or something. You can actually go into config and go into device list. Here's a list of all the devices on your network. This is a larger network. This is not a home, so your network will probably be smaller. But you can see in here, you know, the different names and what is, you know, Land's iPhone and so on. So you can kind of guess what's what. Well, you can actually give it a username. So let's say this is Timmy's iPhone. I want to say Timmy. So now all traffic from that device is going to be tagged with the username Timmy, which is going to match my policy rule and send Timmy's traffic to Timmy's rack, and the policy that's appropriate for him is going to be enforced. So hopefully that makes sense. I will give another good example when you have kids. Another common thing we hear a lot about is people want to not necessarily control the content that's allowed, but the time they spend on the network. So there's a couple ways to do that. Let's just pick an example where I want to say the internet shut off after a certain hour. So I'm going to add a policy called no internet. Nope. Click done, click apply. So now I have a new policy called no internet. I'm going to go actually install in that policy a web filter, or excuse me, a firewall. And in that firewall, I'm going to add one simple rule that says block you. And there's no conditions because I want it to actually just block all traffic. I mean, you could say block all TCP, or you could, but this is basically going to block everything. So any traffic that goes to the no internet policy is just going to be dropped or blocked. And then I'm going to go into Policy Manager. Again, I'm going to use rules. You can read all about the different kind of rules you can create and say, if the time of day is, let's say, I don't know. I don't want them staying up super late at night. So let's say from then to then, everybody will be, so 8, well, that's a little early. There we go. We'll let them stay on the internet till 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Anywhere between that, no internet. I could say, well, maybe I only want to apply this to Timmy. Then I could say, well, let's only apply this to Timmy. In other words, I want to be able to be on the internet after 10. And there you go. So now Timmy's not allowed on the internet after 10. You can also, I won't go into this, but you could also set up the captive portal, at which point you could say, I'm only going to allow Timmy to log in once a day, and that'll be for 5 hours, in which case you can elect for Timmy to pick and choose what hours he's allowed on the internet, but he's only allowed for 5 hours after he hits the login button. So there are a bunch of different cases you can go through. There's a couple useful cases we could go through on just protecting your network. This is a thing a lot of people want to do at home. Really not much effort is required here. Just like earlier, you're basically just going to go through and install the apps that are going to protect your network. So Virus Blocker and Virus Blocker Lite are great candidates. Web Filter is a great candidate because Web Filter is going to block all sorts of access to malware and sites by default. So you actually just have to install these, and they're going to filter web downloads and filter websites. Intrusion prevention is another good option. If you install intrusion prevention, you need to run through the wizard that kind of gives you some defaults that may be appropriate to your network. I would only run this if you're on a decently sized server. So if you're on a really, really small home server, running intrusion prevention may not make a lot of sense because it uses a lot of memory. So that's all that's necessary to, quote, protect the devices on your network. Again, that's not necessarily about Untangle, protecting Untangle. Untangle itself just has very little attack surface. There's not much that's accessible from outside. This is about protecting the devices on your network from doing something malicious or accessing malicious site or monitoring them. And again, I haven't gone into reports yet, but you can look in the reports and say, hey, when one of my machines tried to download a virus 100 times in a day, that's kind of bad. That almost certainly means it's infected and that it needs to be reformatted or cleaned up. Another common policy that you may want to do is, let's say I only wanted to allow internet to certain devices that I know about. Again, I won't go through the whole policy setup, but you could set up a policy and you could say my default policy is actually no internet. And then you could go in and say, well, I'm only going to bless certain machines. And then I could say a policy to get to the default rack, which actually passes traffic, you need to have a known username. So in other words, I would have to bless each and every single device. So the way to do that would be you come in here and set the device up and give it a username. So you could set up a policy rule that says no username goes to no internet or something like that, and then come in here and say every time a new device gets on your network, and actually if you want, one of the things I would recommend on a home network is going into reports, alert rules, and enabling new device discovered. That means it will email you, the administrator, anytime a new device is discovered on the network. So then you'll know, okay, I need to go in a device list and set the username for that and allow them on the network. So I get those alerts all the time when my speakers decide to phone home or my thermostat, and it'll alert me, hey, I've found this new device, and then I can go set the username, and I'll never get an alert again because now the device is known, it's in the list. So it depends on how locked down you want your network to be. Obviously, you can just set a password on your wireless, and maybe that'll achieve the same thing. But this is a little bit easier if you're, putting a wireless password on the wall, so that guests don't have to bug you every time saying, "What's the password? Which letter's capitalized? No, exclamation point." That kind of drill that everybody's used to. This allows you to just put the password on the wall, and then you can bless certain clients as they are discovered. Let me take a quick pause. Are there any questions and everything so far that we should dig into? I know you guys are, if you have questions, by the way, just type them in. We've got a whole team of people answering as many questions as they can.
One of the questions was, could you show how Untangle handles both groups as well as users? So the idea of somebody having a bunch of kids or a bunch of devices for those kids and wanting to apply the same policies to those.
Sure, that's a great question. So groups is typically done with an Active Directory server. So most humans that live in a home do not have Active Directory servers. I won't say all of them because
well, actually, somebody just
there are some. Yes, I figured as soon as I said that there would be somebody that no, I've got an Active Directory server for my family. So if you do have that, you can configure a directory connector, and it will look at your, let me say, user group map here, and it will pull the users and groups for each user in your Active Directory server. And so you can set up rules that say if group kids go to kids rack. Now, I won't spend a ton of time on that because most people don't have an Active Directory server, but it's pretty easy to set up. You just set up the attributes to log into your AD server, and it'll pull the group map. And it doesn't matter where the username comes from. It'll still apply the group map. I will tell you the ghetto way to do this, which is a lot easier and assumes that you don't have an Active Directory server. I will just instead of saying username Timmy, I will say kid-Timmy. And then I will say kid-Amy. So I got two kids now. So now instead of saying I want to create a rule for Timmy, I would just go over here to back to Policy Manager, Rules, Timmy's rule. Now I'm going to change that to Kids rule. Username is *kid*. And now all kids with kid in the username will go to kids rack. So that's not really a group, but it will give you the same kind of functionality. You can do that, by the way, in everywhere, firewall and bandwidth control and so on. You don't have to match on the whole username. You can only match on part of it, and you can pick the usernames as you see fit. So I would go here and just name all the devices of all the different kids, and they all have kid in it, and then maybe I would say, well, this is parent-me, things like that. So not groups, but it'll achieve the same effect of managing all the different devices a lot easier. So thank you for asking that question. Any other good questions I jump into before moving along to the
a
use
couple
case?
questions on the licensing. I don't know if you mind us taking a quick
That'd be a great
dive
time.
into licensing. So for the licensing, one of the questions was, how many devices does this license cover? And that's a great question because the small business and medium business licenses we sell are licensed by IP address. For the home product, we've taken a little bit of a different approach. And the idea there is that we don't have a specific number of IP addresses that are licensed for the home product. Instead, you are free to use it for non-commercial residential use at home without any sort of preset limit. So we haven't had anybody run into any problems so far in terms of the number of devices. If you do run into some issues, please feel free to give us a call or email us at sales@untangle.com. Another question was whether there were any promotional offers around the U25 home appliance. And so the U25 and 25W are really our small office, branch office devices. You can also run them at home if you wish to. However, they are intended for business and commercial use. As such, there aren't any discounts available on top of it, although we are running a great promotion. If you do want to pick the U25 or 25W up with a license for the software, you can get endpoint security for 25 devices from our endpoint security product, Total Defense. We're going to walk through how to purchase a license at the end of the demonstration so you can see where exactly the home license sits on our website.
Thanks, Amy. Not related necessarily, but one of the things you may want to look into, if you go to Config, Administration, Skins, you can actually change the look and feel of your Untangle. The reason I bring this up is because we have a couple skins that are probably a little more geared towards the home user. The material skin of the simple gray skin, I'm going to click Apply just to show you guys this one. I'm logging into a different server. So this is actually a slightly newer UI. So this may look different than your home one. But basically the apps are then arranged as little chiclets, kind of like your phone. It's the same as the rack. It works identically. It's just a different view. This is a little simpler, and also it makes managing on your iPad a lot easier because it's responsive. So that's what it will look like on your phone. So you can still do all the same things. It just means it's a little easier to manage in the home, an iPad, on your phone, whatever. The same with the dashboard, by the way. You can view the dashboard on your phone, and you can monitor in real time what little Timmy is doing on the internet or where your bandwidth is going or whatever you particularly care about. Untangle is all about giving you the control, visibility of what's going on in your network. All right, let me just walk through another couple use cases that may be useful for people. One of the things that's useful is you can always go into bandwidth control and run the, oops, not that one, wrong button. Run the bandwidth monitor. Again, you can also go into reports. The bandwidth monitor is basically going to collect data for a few seconds and show you what's going on in real time and how much bandwidth each one's using. Here you can see our GoToMeetings using a lot of bandwidth. A lot of GoToMeeting, and that's about it. That's going on this network, GoToMeeting right now. So nobody's watching Netflix right now, or Pandora, or any of that stuff, but you can see all that in the bandwidth monitor. Additionally, there's about 1 million ways to view, and I won't go too much into this, all the different things that are going on in your network and reports. You can just look at bandwidth usage over time. Not a ton of bandwidth on this network. Looks pretty idle. I wish I could show you my home device. It sees a lot more traffic than this, but you can look at top users, who's using the most thing, top host names, bytes, and things like that to allow you to say, well, who's actually using the network? And again, there's not a lot going on. The top user used 2.6 gigs on this network yesterday, which is not a ton. You can look at it by applications. And again, this is all just in bandwidth control. None means it's something that we bypassed or weren't tracking. HTTP, Amazon, SSL, Akamai, YouTube, Facebook. So your home network will probably look a little different than this. This is a business network. Your home network will probably be like my home network at least, is one huge slice that says Netflix, another huge slice that says Pandora and stuff like that. Games, things like that. So home networks are a little more interesting to look at. This is so, I don't know, people are actually working in this office. It's crazy. So the reports will give you a good idea of what's going on in your network. Once you have an idea of what is going on and maybe you want to change the policy, I recommend going into bandwidth control and run the bandwidth control setup wizard. The setup wizard will walk you through kind of the general policies and actually has a home policy built in. So first you have to tell it how much bandwidth you have. This is absolutely critical that you get this right, because the way bandwidth control works, it says, here's how much bandwidth I have to work with. I'm going to prioritize all the different traffic such that it's optimized for this amount of bandwidth. So what you want to do is find out how much of your bandwidth you actually have. You can go to a download test or something, or you can just read it from your ISP paperwork. And then put in slightly less number than you've tested or is on the paperwork. That way, Untangle is going to assume this is how much bandwidth you have. From there, I would just select Home. Home's going to build you a policy set up for Home. Now, Home is going to be a completely different policy than a business network, because you actually want to prioritize at home the things that you care about, which are latency sensitive. So you care about YouTube and Hulu and Netflix and Pandora and things like that, because those actually very sensitive to latency. You don't want interruptions when you're watching TV. In a business environment, you don't really want to optimize it so that people can goof off and watch Netflix. But at home you do. You absolutely want to make sure that Netflix is prioritized over, say, BitTorrent, so that if you're downloading your torrents, which of course would be very naughty of you, it will not completely dominate your bandwidth such that your Netflix or Twitch or YouTube or whatever streaming gets interrupted. So the home policy is actually pretty good. You can continue to tweak it after that. You can even set up quotas. I won't do so now, but you could say I want my kids to have, you know, a 5 gig quota, so that once they go over quota, they get less internet speed, You can give different people different policies for bandwidth, different applications. All this is accomplished in the rules. But I would suggest just starting with the home policy, which already has a whole bunch of stuff. Like for another example, you actually want to prioritize games at home. Set priority high for games because games are latency sensitive. In a business environment, you probably don't want to do that. So just make sure you choose the home environment, the home profile when you configure bandwidth control. It'll give you a pretty good starting point, and you can go from there. Let's see. Reports. Another thing you can do is, let's say a very common thing you want to do is you want to see what a specific device or user is doing. So there's a bunch of ways to do that. The key way to do this is what we call conditions at the bottom. So everything I showed you so far, let's say I go to Web Filter and I click on web usage. And it's going to show me what web usage on this network looks like. Now, obviously nothing happens. This is in the middle of the night. And here you can see when people came in the office and last night. So people were sleeping here. But this is the whole network. Let's say I really only care about one specific user. I could go and add a condition for one specific user. I'll add me, just so I don't get anybody in trouble. DMORS laptop. So obviously you could see, well, I wasn't even in the office yesterday, slacker. And then today I get in the office and you can see my web usage goes way up. So let's say I wanted to say top sites by request. And this is going to show you all the different requests that that specific machine is making. Looks like a bunch of my apps we're trying to update because it's a bunch of security stuff. Microsoft.com, PCBitstop, Total Defense. So it's all downloading antivirus, nothing very interesting. You can do the same thing, by the way, for your Sonos speakers. I did the same thing. I don't know why it's flashing at me. I did the same thing just the other day for my Withings scale on my home network because I wanted to see what my Withings scale was doing. And it turns out it phones home with my weight every day and HTTP clear text to withings.com so that they can deliver me all the app alerts and so on. So you can use this functionality and just view each and every request that this device is making. And you can do that for every device or user or whatever. You have a whole bunch of conditions here. So maybe you only care about a specific domain. Or, as I said earlier, maybe you only want to say when username equals kids*kids if you just want to review all your kids browsing. So the reports and the conditions can really allow you to drill down and see what device, what user, whatever is going on in your network. So the reason this is taken off so much at home, and we're excited to continue to optimize for home, is because it allows you to see that visibility and control what's going on in your network and protect the devices that are on your network more so than just your typical home router, which is basically just going to route traffic and not really tell you anything or do anything. Any questions I should jump into?
The comment you were just making about the example with your scale, we had a general comment about how Untangle plans to handle the emerging IoT trend and the number of devices that are coming into the home. So if we want to make a sort of a general statement on IoT, there were a couple questions on that.
Yeah, the way I view IoT personally is that what we're seeing in the home is an explosion in the number of devices. So if you look 5, 10 years ago, home networks were basically maybe a router with a PC, possibly 2, connected to the internet. If you look at your typical home router today, they literally have 20, 30, 40 devices. It's absolutely crazy. Everything wants to phone home. You've got thermostats, like I said, my scale, all my speakers phone home. I've got 1 million iPhones of guests coming in. You've got all your different laptops, tablets. It's absolutely crazy. And it's only going to get worse. And that's why we see is it going to become increasingly important is controlling and protecting all those devices on your network. So for us, and personally, we've been focused on small business for day one. Unfortunately, small businesses had the same challenge for many years, and we think at Untangle that that puts us in a great position to help home users because they face the exact same challenges that business users do. So for us here, home is going to be increasingly important. We're actually working on some very exciting stuff. As I said, we're actually working on a better UI, phone apps to help you home users configure their Untangle, get alerts about Untangle, and things like that. So I think IoT is going to be increasingly important as a trend for Untangle, and hopefully Untangle will be better catered for the explosive home networks that are now exploding in complexity.
The other question was just that I just want to make a general statement on. A couple folks were asking, hey, would the U25 be able to handle things like intrusion prevention, or I'm worried about it having an atom, and how many people does it scale to? And I would encourage you to do two things on the appliance bit. One is if you have specific questions about what the U25 can handle, give us a call. The phone number's on the website, or email us at sales@untangle.com, and we can help get the right solution to you in terms of what your needs are. The second thing was a lot of people were asking, what can I run at home? Like, how do I cook up sort of a homebrew system? A great place to find resources for that is on the forums. I actually built my own from some comments on the forums long before we had things like the U25 available. So it's a great resource for finding out more about what people run in a home environment that may be are alternatives to a U25 purchase.
Yeah, people are discussing all sorts of options. And again, I haven't looked into these, so I don't know how well they work, but there are many enthusiasts on the forums trying to figure out what device they can run on at home.
And then the last question was just around what comes with the home license. So just to clarify again, the home license is a special price for our complete package, and our complete package is all of our free and paid apps. So how does this differ from quote unquote the free package? The free is the free apps plus the Untangle platform. This is not only that, but all of the paid apps, but at a special price for home only use. And you can find it on our website under the complete package pricing on the buy tab, which we'll walk through at the end to show you where that's at.
Another quick tip, just for the really tech enthusiasts, one of the things you can do is if you're totally paranoid about your traffic being sniffed on site, you can set up OpenVPN full tunnel to your phone so that when you go to various places like the airport or hotels or whatnot, you can actually tunnel through your home device as an encrypted tunnel, which for those of you who are privacy enthusiasts, that's a great thing. Also, there's ad blocker, which I didn't go into much, but many home enthusiasts are very passionate about installing ad blocker, which will block ads for all devices on the network.
And there were a bunch of specific questions around things like enforcing safe search and can be done with that. And then people were asking, can you block Google Images? Can you filter on different YouTube videos? I mean, there are a lot of different scenarios that people are concerned about. So if we don't tackle everything here today, be sure to jump on our forums or give us a call and we can try to address your individual questions.
That is a great point. We absolutely can enforce safe search and things like that, which basically what it does is it turns on as you're searching Google. Things like, safe search is forced on even if they try to turn it off, so that if they search for something like boobs, they will get, bikini shots instead of really nude stuff, which if you try it on Google, you'll see what I mean. It's they do a pretty good job, and it works for Bing and Yahoo. You will need SSL inspection to do full SSL if, let me see, where is it? Right here. So I won't go into this because we don't have full time to really cover how SSL inspection works, but basically what it does is rips apart SSL so that you can filter it as if it was unencrypted. And if you want to do full web filtering, you may need to install certs on your kids' devices so that you can do full SSL inspection and do full web even when they're using HTTPS.
We had actually a tech talk on SSL Inspector last week, so for those of you, John Coffin, our Director of QA, ran through that and did a demo on that. So if you guys are interested in learning how to set that up correctly, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. As always, our webinars are recorded. So.
Yep, thank you, Shannon. I'm just looking over some of the questions. How are we doing on time?
We're doing okay. We can probably do a few more questions and.
I saw a question about reports. Again, I was just breezing through reports. You can go in here and there were some questions about top sites, and when I added Little Timmy, you can actually export all this data, and it'll be the full list, not just the top 10, for example. This site does not have much traffic, so this list is normally like thousands and thousands of sites long. Or you can look at domains. Sometimes you only care about the domain. The domain's different in that it only is going to look at the first part of the host. So www.google.com is going to be the same as google.com, for example. And again, so export right here. You can download Excel. You can also change the look and feel of all these and add this to your dashboard and things like that if you cared about it. And you can create custom reports. We have a couple webinars we've done on creating custom reports. So I could say I want to customize this, and I want to add a condition where it says you know, username equals Timmy or kids or whatever. So it would only be that rule applied for all the kids, and then I could add that to my dashboard. Reading through some of the questions real quick. There was a question about outbound OpenVPN support, specifically for privacy enthusiasts to connect to a privacy service, either overseas or some other location that allows them to basically securely tunnel all the devices on the network out. It's something we're looking into. Obviously, the technology is there. We just have to figure out who to partner with and how to do it and how to implement it. It's a little complicated because Untangle, being a business product, is often built for multiple WANs, so it has a pretty complex internet routing setup because we have lots of crazy scenarios. So throwing VPN in that mix is not necessarily trivial, but it's certainly something we want to do, as a lot of home users have requested that. Obviously, that does include, it's going to add latency, but let's say you wanted to download your Game of Thrones torrent and you don't want to get another notice from your ISP about downloading a legal torrent, then you would turn on the VPN, at which it would tunnel through your service over in Sweden or wherever, and you wouldn't get hassled by your ISP. Things like that. Or maybe you just don't want people to see what you're doing at your ISP, or who knows.
All right, so let's see if we're done. Do you have any more questions, Amy?
Let's make sure we show where to find the webinar recordings and then walk through the buying process.
So we get a lot of questions on where to find recordings. We have this handy dandy little YouTube button at the bottom of our website. This takes us to the YouTube channel. We have all of our webinars here. We have different playlists, so if you want to watch Tech Talk series, version 12, support, 101 series, etc., we've kind of organized those into various topics. So this one will be in the 101 series, and as always, we'll be sending the recording out tomorrow. If you don't want to go there, we do have a webinar page, so webinars and videos. As you can see, this is where this one is, and then these are upcoming ones as well that you can register for. And then our recorded ones are down here. It all links back to the YouTube channel. Now, to buy the home license, as Amy mentioned, you click this Buy tab. So you go to our website, click on the Buy tab, and then this is where you get to, pick and choose what you guys want to do. So Untangle Complete, if you want the full package, and if you look here under licensed devices, there's the home option. So that's where you would purchase the home license. Now, this is just a reminder, the home license is for non-commercial use only, meaning it is only for your home. So please be aware of that when you purchase that. And you can add to cart and add another product if you want, continue shopping, whatever you want to do. So see, are there any other questions that came in about that?
No, there are a bunch of very specific questions. So again, we encourage you to jump on the forums afterwards. We can help you sort of sort through any other questions we didn't cover, or if you need actual tech support, give us a call, or if you have some questions about a future purchase, we can help you with that as well.
Yeah, on our website we have links to the forums that Dirk as well as his many minions are on answering questions. We also have documentation, which is the wiki, that also has plenty of technical documentation, including any new versions, and I believe we have the home. You have a home wiki page.
Not a wiki page specifically, but the home product is the same as the business product right now, so all the documentation you see will apply to homes as well. So if you want to see how to configure your firewall, or let's say you have a more complex setup, I saw a question about separating other devices from other devices and different networks internally. That's all the same as the normal product. It is the same product, just a different license that's made specifically for home users. So you can jump on the forums, we'll help you with those questions as well. It's basically just the same as you would configure the business product, which we can help with it if you want to know how to do that.
Yeah, there's a few questions. People are sort of theorizing what the device limit is. They looked at the SKU and saw that there's 75 in the SKU, and somebody else is concerned about how we're going to know whether or not it's being used in business. The reality is that we want to provide this product to our customers. We trust you. We want this to be offered in good faith. The reason why we're not trying to name a specific device limit is because we want to intend this for home use. If we see that it's getting abused, or there are scenarios in which it's being deployed in commercial environments, we reserve the right to revoke those licenses. We don't want to do that, but that's why we're trying to communicate up front what the intended use for the licenses are. Just the same way as what the license bands are for the commercial product that are used in commercial settings. If you go over your device license count, you get alerts within the product letting you know that. We're keeping an eye on how the home product is used out in the market, and we'll have to titrate if there is a lot of abuse. So that's kind of why we're not trying to be evasive, but that's kind of why we've been positioning it this way and trying to get people to understand how we see it, so that you can see it the same way and take advantage of the terrific price.
And on that, wanted to re-mention the offer that Amy mentioned earlier about the U25. So you go to our website and click on the special offer. It takes you mentioning about our U25, U25W, how you add a home license for complete, the special offer is you purchase a U25 or U25W with a complete package, and you get free 25 devices, 1-year license for Total Defense antivirus solution for endpoints, and this is a $150 value. So just want to reiterate that. Let's see what else we got. So yeah, just again, thank you very much for your time. I know we probably didn't get to every question, but again, you can hit us up at the forums or email us or call us. You can always try us out with our free demo. Our webinars are on the website, wiki forums. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining us today. We hope to see you next time. Thanks, Dirk. Thanks, Amy, and thank you, team.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, if you aren't ready to make the purchase, you can always download the product and try it free for 14 days with all the fully featured paid apps from the download page on the website.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone.